Hi, I'm Goya.
Hi, I'm Momo.
And welcome back to
The KOMO Show. You guys love it.
Which we are on episode...
We have no clue. We never count.
We care, but we don't count.
What a good way to say it. But we are back with another very interesting topic today. I mean, we are getting into like the intricacies of modern dating and relationships.
And something that's controversial and very common. So today's topic is
one night stand, you guys. Koel warned me not to do this on camera.
I told her don't fucking do this.
I'm like, isn't that all we do in one night stands? One night stands are actually meant to not fake it. But then we'll talk more about it. But
yeah,
before that,
so 1 second. Rinima.
Sorry.
Who should answer what a one night stand is?
You.
Okay, so one night stand is a one night relationship.
Woohoo!
It doesn't last.
Oxford level definition, my friend.
Thank you. It just lasts not more than the commitment of that one night. There is no romantic or sexual involvement post that, neither any expectation of, ideally. And the married woman is crying, guys.
No, I'm not crying because I can't do one night stands anymore. I am crying because for the Indian girl that I am, I'm so not used to this. I'm so not used to fucking somebody one night and not thinking about that guy for the rest of my life. Yeah. So now that you guys know what one night stand is, like Koel said, it's ek raat ka mamla. Jo karna hai, you have to do it in that one night, and then you don't look back at each other for the rest of your whatever. I always wondered, what is it called a one night stand? What if they decide to do it during the day? Doesn't matter.
Oxford.
Okay, yeah, whatever. But we are going to discuss the pros.
Yeah,
and
we're going to discuss the cons and just leave it to you how we always do, examining it from every angle and letting you decide. The primary thing is that you take care of yourself, be safe, and have fun. Yeah,
that's the whole idea. I mean, before we even dive in and we get into the pros and cons as per whatever our heads can think of, we put it together. We're going to put it out there. And like I said, we're not advocates here whether you shouldn't do it. Your life, each to its own, do what you want. But we are here to give you enough information so that you can make a well-informed decision if it's your first time.
So whether you're in the phase of just like fucking or being a fuckboy, or you're not and you're looking to date, whatever phase of your life you're in and however you like to go about your sexual life, we thought we'd just lay it out as pros, cons, and then we just talk about it and have fun with maybe some stories.
And I think the last segment is also important because after we discuss the pros and cons, Koel and I are here to kind of tell you a few things that you must take into account before you indulge into a one night stand. So since it's becoming so increasingly popular in the country, why don't we just make sure that you all are safe? That's the whole objective. Let's dive into the first pro. Do you know what the first pro is?
So it's empowering. Like, let's talk about how empowering it is to just have sex with someone and not have to think about anything else. Some people do say sex is like a need, just like you eat food. Sex is also something you need to regularly have for good health. Yeah. To stay like happy, not agitated, not too anxious. Like, it does a lot of things to your body and to your life, for your mind.
Yeah. And empowerment is definitely one.
And sometimes it can just be about that and nothing else, and that's perfectly fine.
You don't have the pressure. You don't feel the pressure. I love how you started with empowerment because I feel that's one place where you can explore, understand more about what you might like sexually, what may not
You can try different things you're interested in trying with complete strangers with no judgment whatsoever.
Because you're not going to see the person again, so who cares?
Right? It kind of adds a different
perspective,
different mood to the whole hang. When you know that anything could happen because you're never going to see each other again. Yeah. It's also why people love anonymity so much. It's why Reddit is so popular still. Regardless of how many platforms will come.
Reddit is going to remain popular.
Because the anonymity, the fact that nothing can be attached to you and you can just say things.
I think that sense of liberation is kind of always joyful. Like, when you know that there is no commitment of a relationship, I am not answerable to anybody for this. Both the persons are coming together consensually saying that, okay, let's have fun.
Coming together indeed.
Come on. They do literally come together. Moment of ours.
I like how you're like, oh. What are your moons? What picture they are? Are they like,
oh my god, hi. Depends on
how good you are.
Yes, right? I mean, it can go to or it can be like, it all depends on what you do to me. Like, truly.
So anyway, next pro.
Next one. I knew what I was doing. 100%. I feel like it is such a great confidence booster and it definitely helps you with your self-esteem.
Just like even having a low day, man. Like, honestly, like I've done this not so long ago, but like I was just having a low day and it was great. Like,
absolutely. I mean, shall I even bring it out? Like, I will tell you this.
Not to say that that's the only way to cope with something. I think I was just looking for like a endorphin endorphin rush.
Yeah.
That nothing else I knew was gonna give me. I didn't really want to drink and I didn't want to really indulge in any other vice.
Until my first one night stand, which now you guys know I have had one night stands. No shame in that game. I personally did it. Again, don't judge me. I'll judge you right back. Now, however, I felt though, the only difference, like significant difference that I could think of course, I have had boyfriends before that, full time, whatever, serious relationships, and they have made nasty comments about my body, which broke down my self-confidence. But at the same time, in a one-night stand, again, not vouching for it, but my experience per se was where my body was called so beautiful, I was called sexy. You know, I felt more comfortable with my sexuality. Yes!
Worship.
And that is when you will realize that one man's trash is another man's treasure. You know, and one of the best way to test that out is like literally if someone doesn't value you in a relationship, what's the next thing you do, right? You want to explore into something without commitment, without something and see, and that turned out
and just
so
get
well.
that value that maybe that you've been missing, or that attention, or that like care.
Yeah. It is great. I mean, that's
that
a big
touch.
highlight. That's a big highlight.
Something, yeah.
Like,
no,
it's
fair
a good,
enough.
like confidence and self-esteem, definitely like.
Self-esteem, for sure,
Yeah.
Not something to rely on from a place of avoid, but when you're doing good and you just want to have fun without like thinking too much about it, it's a great thing.
100%.
The last one we were thinking of was convenience.
100%. I mean, in today's fast-paced world, who has the time for a relationship? I certainly do. I'm happily married, but then not everyone.
I have an insane work schedule as of now, and I feel like I'm like slowly dating, but I'm not. Again, it's just really convenient.
Considering the fact that you're engaging with people who might not necessarily be from your same country or might be the same nationality, you also get to explore and you get to know more about your body, about your sexuality for sure. Convenience factor is a big thing when it comes to one night stands.
I feel like sexual experience is always like attractive. That's just me, maybe.
Yeah,
but like,
I mean, for anybody, one should explore.
I don't know how many sexually active people, and this is just, I genuinely don't know the figures, but like, how many of them are into like virgins? I actually don't know. Or people who have no experience.
No deal. Have you seen the reel?
No.
There are this bunch of morons. I don't know where they are from. Some bunch of
I saw it.
And they're like,
Ghati, where
so
they've
I'm
been
like, my
dropped
response
from.
to no seal, no deal, motherfucker. If your dick is not 6 inches long and you can't go on for 10 hours and make a girl come for at least 10 times, no deal with you, motherfucker. I reject your dick.
Don't want you.
Don't want your
either.
dick. Reject it. No deal. But anywho, we're derailing. You were saying something. I'm sorry. So how many of them are into virgins, you mean to say?
No, I just feel like sexual experience is always attractive to everyone.
100%.
Like, I don't think any sexually active people are actually interested in people with no experience or people with like really not fully formed.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's boring, right? When somebody
it's
doesn't
really
know
fucking
stuff.
boring when someone doesn't know how your body needs to work, or you're understanding the signals you're giving them, verbal or non-verbal, the communication you're giving them, whatever that looks like. I feel like sexual experience is always fucking attractive, 100%. And that's another pro. I don't think.
Yeah, it is a pro. We didn't talk about it before.
It's a huge pro.
But the fact that you can explore yourself, right? You know more of what you like sexually on a bed.
Let's move on to cons. Since
are you sure we have no other highlights and we can't think of anything else? Can you guys think of something? Any other pros?
Let us know in the comments if you think of anything that we haven't thought of. But let's move to the cons.
All right, let's move on to the cons. What's the first one you have?
The first one is like safety, definitely, because you don't really know what a person's sexual history is, what their hygiene looks like daily, quarterly, you know, whatever. And it's really important that, you know, sometimes you don't know till you know, and I keep saying this, like you're just innocently going on a date and trying to meet someone new, maybe, and maybe you're in it for a relationship, but you had like really great chemistry, really good conversation, and then say the night starts to unfold in a certain different direction and you're just going with it because you're being spontaneous. Safety, like you don't know till you know, so suddenly something could happen when you're in that very vulnerable physical position with each other that could maybe affect your safety in some way. That could affect your safety in some way where you feel unsafe. Something
but even before that, don't you think one of the biggest things one has to be careful of is STDs or unwanted pregnancies? If you're a girl, you have to be very careful. And I think when she says safety, that also comes into my mind. Like,
I will get to STDs. It's down, it's
right
in the list and it's coming. But I want to get into first just like feeling safe. It's like a basic human requirement.
Precautions, the basic precautions to avoid any kind of.
I feel safe with you. Like now in this moment, I feel safe with you is really important. The other thing is like trauma that you can collect with one night stands. It's not something that consciously maybe happens, but it's emotional trauma. It could be sexual trauma sometimes, unfortunately, because like I said,
it's the whole emotional aspect as well, right? It's easy to sit here and talk about one night stands, but I know people like my sister, who is my older sister. She's 40 years old, divorced, and she would never get into a one night stand. I know herself because of the emotional aspect part. She born and raised in India and only have seen my mom and dad being together with each other. I don't think she's capable physically and mentally, to just get into a transactional one-night stand like this, where it's entirely technical or like just sexual, and there's no emotional aspect. So that's the second con that I can think of, your emotional aspect. If you are not ready to sleep with somebody and then get over that person the moment you are done, honey, don't go for it. I struggle.
also don't like secretly
I
hope,
struggle.
And also don't secretly hope
that he falls in love with me overnight.
That they like they want to talk to you again.
No,
like, just don't
no.
Like be fair, be fair.
And that's what I said. If you are with the mindset that, oh my God, maybe after seeing my Vijay, this guy's gonna change because I have a premium Vijay. No. Most men who get into one night stands, they know very well that they're never gonna
They're very clear, so you should
also be very clear. That's what we mean to say. Don't have expectations.
But also you never know. I feel like, props to, no shade on anyone's choices in life and how they want to live and what kind of choices they want to make. But I also feel like you never really know people's sexual life.
Right, true.
You never know. People could surprise you all the time. Like I've heard from
there might be one night stands which ended up in marriages. I don't know.
Yeah. There are so many.
There's so many. I'm sure. But then again, I feel like these are still basic precautions. If you're meeting that person, he might move on to be your partner later.
You assume you're the rule, not the exception always.
Yeah.
Because, so safety, we discussed trauma, emotional and sexual. I'm not going to get too much into sexual trauma because that's so personal and so intimate. But you know when it's happening, and you know when you're not feeling all right, and you know when that someone crossed the line with you. So be very clear also about your boundaries. I don't think I wrote that down. Before you enter this kind of thing, be very clear about what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and be staunch about that. And if someone tries to pressure you or push you or anything, know that that's not okay, and they have to respect that. And if they don't, then maybe you need to reevaluate what you're doing, and if you want to move forward. That's
there's another one at the top of my head, and before I forget, I'm going to say it. And I've seen it a lot in India. Again, I talk mostly about my country because my most experiences are with people around. I think in India, one night stand sometimes is used as getting back to somebody who might have, I've seen a lot of couples who fight with each other, have nasty fights, and they decide to go out and sleep with someone else that particular night.
Oh, it's like
that's
revenge.
An absolute wrong way to get into one night stands, guys. Because one, you are not going to enjoy it because you're mentally so fucked and vulnerable.
You're mentally just trying to get revenge.
Yes. So one night stands are not revenge fucks. Yeah. One night stands are supposed to be those special nights in your life where sexually you had a great night. I feel that is what a one night stand is.
No, revenge fucks have their place, guys. But try to limit them as much as you can, because
they're not healthy.
Revenge is not a place of peace. We all know this.
And emotionally, it's not healthy for you.
It's a really emotionally riled up thing, and then you're adding a physical. I'm doing this, but you're adding a physical experience with that, and that might not always end well.
And it will just be.
It might get heavier.
It'll just have the reverse effect. Quite honestly,
you just feel empty and dead inside.
That's my biggest fear.
And that's the biggest bad name.
Yeah.
One night stands
any feeling of emptiness or regret
people
too.
who are not ready for it.
Yes.
Emptiness, regret, that means it's a no. Don't do it.
I was thinking of this one. Again, you don't have to care about it if it doesn't bother you, but societal impact. In our society, clearly one night stands are not something that's celebrated. You wouldn't hear your grandmother and mother come to you and say, go for it. Go to a one night stand. No, right? So society-wise, there's a lot of judgment. So if you're worried about societal judgment, especially for women, there are double standards in the society. We all know about it.
Yeah, but firstly, you don't even have to tell anyone about this aspect of your life if you're not comfortable with it. It's your own.
It can be your own secret that can go to your grave.
And other people's opinion is not your reality.
But then for some people...
but it's also not your reality.
It is not.
Understand that. I understand most people don't come from houses where every generation that lives under one roof is as progressive or shares the same view. But the idea is for yourself to be okay and to not go completely nuts because of judgment or pressure or perception or what your mother told you or what your grandmother believes or whatever else is in your head.
You gotta do you know.
Their opinion is still not your reality,
And we know that it's easier said than done.
So just leave their opinion there, and it's okay if you want to do something that other people don't.
And you can always keep it a secret. Tell them Koel and Momo told you.
Yeah, anyway.
Blame it on us. But anywho, societal judgment was something that I had at the top of my mind in terms of con. Anything else we already spoke about, it can leave you empty and regretful if you did not make the right decision, and especially
or if you're doing it not in the right state.
Sometimes it's very common, to get into a one night stand and regret it the very next day because you might have been in a vulnerable state of mind. Like I said, I've been there and done that, and that is why I talk out of personal experience. Call me a whore if you want to. Very happily married, so you can't change that. But any which ways, there have been times when I was so broken from a relationship and I took a trip, let's say, just to kind of, after 3 back-to-back relationships failing, the girl is at a very vulnerable state, and that's when you overdrink. And when you overdrink, every guy looks hot. you know, and then you go to a guy and you sleep with him, and the next day morning you wake up and you're like, what the fuck was that? I didn't even like this guy in my senses, you know, and that is what you got to watch out for. Like, that is what I'm more worried of. I don't care if somebody says yay or nay for a one night stand. My worry is the ones who gets into it and then comes back with a feeling of emptiness or a feeling of regret, because nothing can be worse than that, because you're already feeling sad.
I can tell you something that I feel is on power or
what is it?
Not
Go,
worse.
spill,
I don't
spill.
want to compete with like bad shit, you know, but
I love that. I don't want to compete with bad shit.
No, that sucks, right? But
yeah,
like,
it does.
I just also think that my boundaries have been crossed here and there, and like people have just behaved really weirdly, and I've experienced it, and it's just not been fun at all. You feel really like devastated in that moment, to be really honest, because like I think the most vulnerable position of a human being can be in physically is with their legs spread.
True.
And I think it's important to take it seriously, to be respectful. And we said one thing, like we need to start talking about all like the general checklist, the mental checklist in your mind that you
before
do
you get into
before
one.
you do.
And that's our last segment. You know, we talk about things that your prerequisites or things that you must know. It's like, let's say for example, before you go to a dentist, you always brush your teeth because you don't want your
people
dentist
are going to be all up in your mouth.
Yeah.
And you don't want them talking about it.
So similarly, before a one night stand, there are a couple of things it will help you if you know of it beforehand, and we're going to talk about it.
One and the most important one in my view also is the nature of consistent consent. Consent
100%
changes moment to moment sometimes, and keep regularly checking with this person. I've heard some really ridiculous people say, but that's so like unsexy to keep asking. No, it's not.
If it is unsexy, you can actually go fuck yourself.
You need to know that this person is having fun, is not feeling like overwhelmed, overpowered. Any of those things aren't happening. So consent will keep changing, and you need to keep checking in. Or even verbal, non-verbal signs are great, but establish those things beforehand. It's always a good thing.
We go one by one, so that's your first.
1 second, I want to add to that because I don't think it's okay to like let someone touch you physically if you're not able to have these kinds of like set this as a prerequisite. You know, it's very, very important, because like how are you okay doing one thing and not doing the other thing? You know.
Okay, the number 2 prerequisite I definitely feel is no protection, no exceptions. Like if the guy is not wearing a condom, honey, you're not going to fuck him. Straight as fuck.
I mean, also, by the way, STDs pass through mouths, through
everything,
multiple things, and any orifice, like be very careful,
which is why I think having a conversation which is going to be very uncomfortable is extremely important. Now, you have learned this culture from the West, so you might as well learn everything from the West.
And especially safe practices and how to go about doing it without any like extremely traumatizing long-term.
I mean, asking somebody clearly about like your sexual health, are you sure you're not infected with any kind of diseases or anything like that? You know, like for example, I wouldn't sleep with a guy who is a fuckboy and he fucks maybe one girl
multiple
every day.
People and being covered in hickeys is not my vibe.
Not my guy.
I'll be very honest.
Sagging balls not happening, because I know the amount of times you have banged for the balls to sag and things like that. I'm just saying, a fuckboy is not fun, guys, because he's gonna bring you diseases.
So once, I'm gonna say this, I got a picture and it clearly looked like someone had an STD.
Oh. No, having an STD is not a problem.
And they need it. It's not an issue, but go get it sorted out and don't be passing it around.
Don't spread it without my consent. Tell me that, hey, by the way, I'm diagnosed.
Always, I mean, I would just give you a small tip. Always get a picture, verify before you get into something. It's always just better.
Better to be safe than sorry,
Trust me, you know what you're getting into then.
I mean, last thing you want to do is get into a one night stand and get a disease from a dude you're never going to see again.
And this is like finally, this is also kind of some kind of one night contract, right? Make sure that you cover this base. Like, just verify. The other one would be, we just want to go over symptoms of STDs because sometimes you don't know you have one. Women and men exhibit very differently. So mind you that if he's not exhibiting signs, maybe you are, because your whole ecosystem down there is different. So sometimes you could start itching and burning sensations might happen. You might notice like bumps around your genitalia generally. Again, men exhibit this differently, so please consult a proper doctor if you feel like something is off.
Have this conversation with your gynecologist.
Sometimes with women, discharge is weird. Different kinds of symptoms.
There can be foul smell, there can be discharges, there can be rashes, there can be so many things,
sometimes
right?
It could just be slightly raw. That's also very different from an STD, but always go get checked if there's some concern in your mind or you're a little afraid of what just happened the previous night. So just always get checked out.
Another thing besides the protection, I think also consider the setting of where you're going to do it, because if it is not a nice place, it's going to gross you out. Please always keep a friend or someone informed as to where you are, because God forbid you get into a situation where maybe you like the guy while you were having a glass of wine with him, but after you get into the room, you don't want to do it, and he's not letting you go, and he's a fucking jerk. I think it's important that your friend
always have a way out.
Yes,
like,
that is very important. Don't get into a one-night stand thinking it's always going to work.
One sec. Important. Share your location with someone you trust. Make sure that someone knows where you're at, and to check in on you. Even a text of like, "Are you all good?" Is fine. But do that. Make sure that you're not unreachable and someone can't get in touch with you if they need to. Like, that's very important.
Communication is paramount. Like she said, at any point in time, you don't want to go in and continue. You
can change your mind.
Doesn't make you a boring girl. Doesn't make you a boring girl. Doesn't make you not sexy. Doesn't make you not hot.
Nothing.
It actually makes you all of it when you decide to stand for yourself.
When you have boundaries, is
yes.
hot.
And you say, hey, you know what, girl? I thought
I
I liked you, but it's not working for me, and I want to.
Please change your mind and
at any point in time.
No
judgment. Feel free to do so.
Another thing, we're just gonna end this. We thought cutely with like, what kind of? I mean, we know she's married and like I'm.
No. Before that, I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of pity fucks?
Yes.
Can you please stop pity fucking men? You don't have to fuck somebody just because you're feeling pity about the guy.
No deal.
This guy has come all the way from Whitefield.
Don't do that.
No, this guy looks so papa. He bought me 3 beers. He bought me biryani. He said such nice things. Honey, fuck him if you are horny for him, and no other reason. Nothing can be as boring as pity fucks for you as well as for the guy, because he wouldn't want to get pity fucked. Actually, some guys enjoy it, but
guys,
that's the only way for them to get it.
Some people don't care. Let's not say guys. Some people don't care, and that's fine. But like, I don't know. This is man's
sex
opinion.
should be about mutual desire. It shouldn't be about obligation, and it definitely shouldn't be about fulfilling someone else's desires.
It shouldn't be about power in my mind.
100%. It should be like literally for fun. Yeah.
Sex. But anything else? Pop culture talks about this very regularly, right? Like, as Ariana says, I got one less problem without you. So
okay, she also says,
thank you next.
Thank you next. I think that's amazing. Also, one last thing from my end. This is again personal experience. If you're under the influence of drugs, you're under the influence of alcohol, take your decisions wisely, because someone who looks amazing under drugs or alcohol will definitely look like caca when you are not under the influence the next morning.
When the tube light comes on.
So take it from
when life's tube light comes
women
back
in
on.
their 30s, that people who might, it's like saying, right? Yeah, objects in the mirror
are not what they appear, but they're not what they appear.
So for us, it's like objects under the influence of alcohol looks smarter and handsomer than they actually are.
Yeah.
So be careful. I mean, come well and mourn well. I mean, come on, you gotta come. Make sure you have amazing foreplay.
But even as like Ariana says, like, thank you next about boys, maybe you'll say thank you next with this episode. Wait for the next one, and maybe suggest topics you want us to talk about.
Yes, it's high time now. I know that you guys are liking the show, and after the sugar daddy culture, one night stand,
let us know what else you want us to talk about. We're happy to like tell us your suggestions in the comments again. Yeah. I'm excited to read them. I want to know more about who is watching us and what you want to hear from us, right?
We are keeping it as real as possible, you guys. It's not easy for either Koel or I to come out here and literally talk about things. I mean, especially sometimes I think, I never think twice before speaking. That's
I get nervous for sure.
She
every
gets nervous a little bit.
I get nervous.
But I'm definitely, I think with the commitment that I'm here, out here. Like, my feeling towards this whole thing is always that if there was a KOMO show when I was 15 or 16 years old, I would have made my decisions way better. Instead of having 3 failed relationships, I might have directly found Gotham, my husband. So but that's what I'm talking about, and that's what we are here for, you guys. We're here to handhold, we're here to support, and we are here to be
inform
there without any judgment.
Yeah.
All right.
So have a great one, and we'll see you next time. Like,
share, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Do not forget.
We'll see you next time. Okay.
We'll see you next time. Bye, ladies. Take care. Bye. Alrighty.